I knew something was wrong the moment my phone lit up with my own name, but in his voice. It was a voicemail transcription, one of those auto text things, and it started with, "Hey, it's Mia. I'm downstairs." My name is Mia. I was at my desk, hair in a bun, eating a sad little yogurt, a full 20 minutes away from our apartment. I stared at the screen like it might correct itself. It didn't. I called my boyfriend, Jonah, immediately, straight to voicemail. Jonah and I have been together 3 years. We've lived together for one. He's the type who's always been a little too private with his phone. Nothing dramatic, just the subtle stuff. Turning it face down, taking it to the bathroom, accidentally, leaving it in the car when I'm around. I told myself it was his anxiety, his need for control. I'm not proud of it, but I also told myself I wasn't the jealous type. Then a message popped up from our building's lobby number. Guest for 4B signed in. Time-stamped 10 minutes ago. That's our unit. I texted him. Are you home? No response. I texted again. Who is Mia? My hands started shaking so hard I dropped my spoon. I grabbed my bag and left work without asking, mumbling something about a stomach thing to my manager. On the train ride home, I kept replaying the voicemail transcription in my head, trying to come up with any explanation that didn't make me feel like I was swallowing rocks. Maybe it was a wrong number. Maybe the guest sign-in was for someone else. Maybe the lobby system glitched. But Jonah had been working from home all week. When I got to our building, I didn't go straight up. I stood across the street like an idiot, pretending to scroll while I watched the entrance. I could see the doorman through the glass, flipping through a clipboard. The day was bright and normal, which somehow made me feel worse, like the universe was mocking me for thinking my life was something special. 10 minutes later, a woman walked out of our lobby. Not a teenager, not someone from work in a blazer. She was around my age, maybe late 20s, wearing those white sneakers that always look expensive, even when they're casual, a black puffer, hair in a low claw clip. She had a tote bag and a paper coffee cup. She looked comfortable, like she knew exactly where she was going. She didn't rush. She didn't look around like she was sneaking. She just walked out, checked her phone, and headed down the street. I did the thing I hate admitting. I followed her. Not far, just long enough to confirm she wasn't going to the office next door or to a friend's place. She turned into the parking garage across from the building and got into a car I recognized. Not Jonah's car. My chest went so tight I thought I might actually pass out on the sidewalk. I watched her drive away, and I don't know what was wrong with me, but my brain immediately went into inventory mode. Like, okay, he has a spare key, she has a key, or he let her in, or the doorman knows her. My mind latched onto details to avoid the obvious. I marched back into the lobby, trying to look casual, which I'm sure was hilarious because my face probably looked like I'd been crying even though I hadn't. The doorman nodded. "Hey, Mia," he said. The way he said it, like he'd said it earlier, sent a cold wave up my spine. "Hi," I managed. My throat felt tight. Did someone come to 4B today?" He hesitated for a fraction of a second, the kind of pause that lasts one beat too long. Yeah. Guest signed in. All good." "Do you remember her name?" I asked, forcing a laugh that sounded fake even to me. "My sister said she was stopping by, and now she's acting weird." He looked uncomfortable, eyes flicking to the security camera like it might tell on him. "She signed in as Mia." I stood there with my mouth half open, stupidly processing the fact that someone had used my name in my building. The doorman kept talking like he wanted it to be normal. "She said she forgot her ID and you told her to use your name. Happens sometimes." "I didn't," I said quietly. His smile faltered. "Oh, I mean, she said you?" "I didn't," I repeated sharper. He swallowed. "Well, she's gone now." I took the elevator up with my pulse pounding in my ears so loudly I could barely hear the elevator music. When I got to our door, I noticed something I'd never noticed before. There were faint scratches around the lock, like keys had been fumbled there in a hurry. Inside, the apartment smelled like Jonah's cologne, normal, but also like sweet vanilla, like a candle we don't own. The throw blanket on the couch was folded neatly in a way I never fold it. The dishwasher was running. I hadn't started it. Jonah's laptop was open on the kitchen counter, screen dark. His coffee mug was in the sink. 2 spoons in the drying rack. 2. I walked into the bedroom like it was a horror movie. The bed was made, but the pillows were switched. Jonah sleeps on the left. The left pillow had a long black hair on it. My hair is blonde and short. I was standing there, holding the single strand like it was evidence in court when Jonah finally called me back. His name flashed on my screen and I actually laughed. Like, "Of course you're calling now." "Of course," I answered without saying hello. He said, overly bright, "Hey babe, sorry, was in a meeting. Everything okay?" I could hear faint street noise on his end. Not our street, not inside. "Where are you?" I asked. "Up, just grabbed coffee," he said too quickly. "What's up?" "There was a guest signed in under my name," I said. My voice surprised me by sounding calm. "And a woman just drove away in your car." Silence. Then he did this little exhale, like he was annoyed I'd noticed. "Mia, don't do this." "Don't do what?" I snapped, my calm cracking. "Tell me the truth." "It's not," he started. "Who is she?" I demanded. Why is she using my name? Why does she have your keys? Why is there a candle smell in our apartment and 2 spoons and... Okay, stop, he cut in, voice hard now. You're spiraling. That word, spiraling. Like I was the problem, like my reaction was the issue instead of the fact that some stranger was walking out of my apartment like she lived there. Bring the car back, I said. My hands were trembling again. Now! He laughed once, short and humorless. I'm not bringing the car back. I'm literally in the middle of... Jonah, I said, and I hate how my voice sounded then, thin and desperate. I'm in our bedroom holding a black hair that isn't mine. Another pause. Then he said, quieter. Just wait until I get home. We'll talk. No, I said. Talk now. He sounded tired suddenly. I didn't cheat on you. I wanted to believe him so badly it made me angry. Then explain, I said. He hesitated, and I swear I could hear him calculating. Finally, he said, She's someone I've been helping. With my name? I said, incredulous. With my building? With your car? She needed a place to shower and rest, he said quickly, like he'd rehearsed it. She's going through a messy situation. It's temporary. Who is she, Jonah? He didn't answer. I opened his laptop with shaking hands because, yes, I know, privacy, boundaries, all of it. But at that point, it felt like our whole life was a locked door, and I was tired of being told not to jiggle the handle. The screen came on. There was an email thread open with a subject line that made my stomach drop. Re-housing arrangement plus discretion. It wasn't from a dating app. It wasn't from a coworker. It was from a law firm. I skimmed just enough to understand what it was. Jonah had signed something. A temporary accommodation agreement. There was language about non-disclosure and reputational risk and a monthly payment that was a lot, like more than our rent. My throat went dry. He wasn't paying for a hotel. He was paying for secrecy. When he walked in an hour later, I was sitting at the kitchen table with his laptop open, the email highlighted, my phone beside it showing the lobby guest sign-in. He froze in the doorway like he'd stepped into a trap. What is this? I asked, tapping the screen. My voice was steady again, which scared me. Who are you hiding? And why are you using my name? He set his keys down slowly, like he didn't want to make a sound that might set me off. Mia! Don't, I said, not my name in that tone. He stared at the floor for a second, then looked up and said something that made my skin crawl because it was so careful. I can't tell you everything, he said, but I need you to trust me. I actually laughed. A real laugh this time, sharp and ugly. You can't tell me everything, I repeated. In the apartment I pay for. About someone using my identity. About money leaving our account. His face twitched at that. You checked the account? Yes, I said, daring him to make me the villain for it. Because I thought maybe I was losing my mind. He rubbed his forehead. It's not what you think. That's the problem, I said quietly. I don't know what to think because you're making me live in the dark. He finally looked at me directly and said, If I tell you, it could ruin someone's life. I stared at him, trying to reconcile the man I split grocery lists with and the man who was apparently involved in a discretion housing agreement with a law firm. So you're protecting her, I said. I'm trying to do the right thing, he said, and his voice cracked like he believed it. And what am I asked. Collateral damage? He flinched at that, and for a second I saw panic, real panic behind his eyes. I wanted to scream, to throw the laptop, to demand the full story, but all I could do was sit there, feeling this horrible, dizzying split between 2 options. Either he was cheating on me in the most calculated, humiliating way possible, or he wasn't cheating, and the truth was somehow worse. He asked, softly, Can you just give me a few days? And the sick part is, I almost said yes. Instead, I closed the laptop and said, If she comes back here again, I'm calling the building manager and the police. His face went pale. Mia, you can't. I can, I said, because my name is on the lease, and apparently it's on your secrets now, too. He didn't argue after that. He just stood there, silent, like he was waiting for me to tell him what happens next. And I realized, with this slow, nauseating clarity, that no matter what the truth was, cheating, blackmail, some helping situation I didn't consent to, Jonah had already made a choice. He just hadn't chosen me.